30 plus years in practice. I know what you're thinking, that I must be crazy to be doing that, right? And so, but I have to tell you, I really did learn a lot. But first, let's show a little love to ChiroSecure because they have made all of this possible, and they are so good at supporting our profession and supporting us in empowering women. And we wouldn't be here without them. So let's just give them a little love today, too. So, when I graduated 30 plus years ago, which I hate to admit it's been that long, there were only 3 boards. There's part 1, part 2, part 3. And then it was until 10 years after I graduated that part 4 came along. And I practiced in Illinois, and I was grandfathered in. I didn't need to take part 4 since I'd already had a current license. But, the world has changed in 30 plus years, and I've been practicing full time this whole time. So I started to think, my patients were getting older and they started to move south. And from the area that my practice is, a lot of them are moving to Florida and specifically to Naples. And that I practice traditional chiropractic, but I also practice functional medicine. So they were asking me more and more to do, telemedicine, and could you still do my labs, and could we still talk on Zoom and things like that? And I was like, oh, sure. But I was like, gee, I don't have a license anywhere else. So I thought, I think I better get a license in a few other states. And the more I thought about it, like, what if the laws ever changed? Or what if, for whatever reason, I wanted to do something different? Or what if I wasn't up with the current things that they're teaching the students in school? And, as all these what ifs were coming in my mind, I thought, well, the only way to find out is if I go and take this board, and then I'll know. And one of our family friends also asked me to be a medical surrogate, power of attorney. And then I'm the surrogate for my father and power of attorney for him for medical. And I thought, well, gee, I should have a license in the states that these people are in. So I'm like, what the heck? I think I'll sign up, because really the rules have changed. And I don't know all the rules for this in every state, but I found out there's not very many states that have reciprocity if you have a license. There's some states that allow you to take the spec exam if you're already a current practicing doc, but not every state. And then some states, they changed it. You're required to have a BS degree from a 4-year school in addition to your chiropractic, which thank God I have that. I actually have 2 BS degrees. But when you think about it, I could have been stuck having to go back and take that too. So I was like thankful that I had that. And then some states are actually requiring you take part 4. And some states were actually requiring more than the minimum grade on the part 4. So I thought, well, gee, if these are the rules now, what's it going to be like 10 years from now if these requirements changed and I really had to take them? So, and you know what? I wanted to preserve my license. It's the most important thing to me, because as a chiropractor, it's who I am. I've been doing it for so long. It's part of me. And I kind of really, once I started looking at it, got a little nervous, like, well, what if I couldn't have my license for some reason because of all these testing? So I thought, I better go ahead and do it. So I signed up. I was 98% sure, but there was this 2% of me. I'm like, what, are you nuts? Like, why are you doing this? But I thought, oh, it couldn't be that hard. And so I had 3 options. I could just go and take it on my own. And then I could study and do the NBCE online course, and I could do the Irene Gold course. So I asked those who've done it before. So we have all these amazing social media groups. We have women's groups. We have chiropractic groups. We have all these groups. And so I put a little post on like, hey, who's taking part 4? Is anybody going to be taking part 4? Has anybody been practicing for a while that's going to be taking part 4? And I asked for help. And the really cool thing is I met some awesome ladies. And Carmen, she's been practicing almost as long as me. And she was doing the same thing. And she's out in Delaware. So we talked online and we became study buddies. And then she talked to some of the other docs in the group. She talked to a doc named Sarah, and she's like, I'll tell you what. She goes, you need to do all of the review courses. So we signed up for both NBCE and we signed up for Irene Gold. And then we also became study buddies. So we would go through the modules and the courses, and then we would do Zoom calls with each other, and we'd quiz each other, and we would get new ideas and say, well, I saw this and I saw that. And it was so, so helpful. And so what I found out is that I knew more than I gave myself credit for, because I didn't know, like, what they're teaching in school 30 years later isn't the same thing as that I learned and that I practice. So experience definitely helped me with this test. Experience seeing patients day to day, knowing that kind of routine. But I got to tell you, some things still don't apply. They asked us things that I haven't seen in 30 years in practice full time. So you got to know that they're going to ask you things that really don't apply to anything, and you just have to know it anyway. But the other thing I realized is I didn't lose my study skills. I was able to keep up and know what I needed to do and how I needed to study. So I was like, okay, I got that down. But really, when I got into the test itself, I was really nervous. But it was like riding a bike. And the thing I can tell you for sure, patients are patients, and actors who are patients make it way easier, because we all get our Aunt Marge patients. They go on and on and on. You can't, get a word in edgewise. But these actors made it really, really easy. And so all that nervousness that I had before I walked into the room with them, it all went away as soon as I asked them, oh, what's going on with you today? How can I help you today? What brings you in? And I went back into my doctor mode, and the test didn't exist anymore. So that experience helped me. And I know with the students coming out, they had a little bit harder time with that kind of interaction. And, we had 5 minutes in the room with each patient, each actor patient, but it seemed like I must have had like 25 minutes, because the actors were so good, and you just whipped right through it. So, but the thing that I thought was the hardest was the logistics, and the timing was the nerve-wracking part. Like on the x-rays, when they give you one x-ray and you're timed and you can't go back and look at it, and you can't ask any questions like in real life. So that part was a little tricky on trying to be able to make clinical decisions when in real life you would have a lot more information. So, but digital x-rays are way easier to read. I have talked to a lot of docs who took it, and they said the x-rays were poor quality and they're tough to read. But on this time, when I took the boards, they had digital x-rays, so they were really good quality, which made it so much better. And it's just better now in practice that we all have these digital x-rays to read. So that was a good part of it. So knowing what to study really, really helped me. So those review courses really, really helped. And actually talking to the students who are still in school or just graduating, it really, really helped, because I saw that their schooling is being geared to what they need to know on these boards. And I thought, boy, I'm going to be behind, because so many things have changed in all this time. But the other thing I realized is we didn't have computers when I was in school, and you can look things up on the computer. You can look up x-rays and see examples. You can quiz yourself on Quizlet. But the thing that I learned the most is that you can do anything in the world that you want to do if you put your mind to it. So my license is one of the things that I value absolutely the most. So it took 6 weeks for me to get the results, and I was just so nervous about getting them, but I passed. And I have to tell you, I got the best score on part 4 than I did on all my other parts that I took right when I graduated school. So that I was pretty amazed at. So the experience did help. And with all the continuing education that we're required to do, I've been able to keep up and stay right on track in practice with what's in line with what's being taught in the schools right now and what's being done in real life practice. So I want you to take this away. You can do anything if you want it bad enough. If I could take the Part 4 boards 30 plus years after practice and pass them, I know that you can do anything that you're thinking about right now. So I want to thank ChiroSecure again for having me today. And I want you to join us in 2 weeks with Dr. Nicole Lindsay. Will be here with Empowering Women. So thank you, ChiroSecure, and thank you all for watching. And I will be talking to you soon. Bye-bye.
Join us each week as we bring you the best in business growth, practice management, social media marketing, networking, leadership, and lots more. If it's about women in practice and business, you'll hear it here. We hope you enjoyed this week's Facebook Live event. Please like us on Facebook, comment, and share. We look forward to seeing all of you next week for another episode of Empowering Women in Chiropractic. Now, go ahead and hit the share button and tell your friends and colleagues about the show. Thank you for watching. Have a beautiful day. This has been a ChiroSecure production.